one of the best baseball writers in the biz. Long time at the New York Times, now with The Athletic. Tyler Kepner joining us, and you can follow him at Tyler Kepner on Twitter. Tyler, great to see you. And what's your spring training plans like?
Hey guys, yeah, good to be here. I've worked with you before, Scott, on the radio side and the TV, and AJ and Eric. I've interviewed Eric. I grew up right near you, and you're from Lansdale, right?
Yep. You went to GA, didn't you?
Yes, sir. Yep. I was in Gwinnett Valley and Flowertown for a while in Gwinnett Valley. So it's all that same kind of Montcove region.
I worked down in Flowertown during high school. We used to have
really whereabouts
the farmers market.
Okay. Oh, nice. Right over by the old CVS. Yeah. Very cool. Yep. Yeah.
Are you Amish too?
No, no. I'll be going down in a week or so. A week or so. Going to Arizona first for a while, then Florida. So it's the first time for me with the Athletic. So that'll be cool. Kind of working with that whole team of guys over there, and guys and girls. It's exciting. Just got off the phone with Jason Stark. To be teammates with him and Kenny Rosenthal. It's really cool. So
yeah, it's awesome, dude. Congratulations on the move out there. Well, just to spill our last combo into this one, what have been your thoughts on what's going on with John Fisher? I mentioned him specifically because obviously, there's problems with Oakland, and we mentioned how we want a team in Vegas at some point, but this is the wrong person to be kind of one of the faces of the sport lately for trying to expand the game into a new market.
Yeah, it's been such a tedious ordeal out there in Oakland, right? Like, all these stadium plans and sites that they build up and they promote and they hype, and nothing ever happens. And I just won't believe anything about the A's until there's actually shovels in the ground and money committed and all that stuff, sealed up, because it just never seems to happen. And that speaks to the leadership that cannot get it done. They couldn't get it done in Oakland, couldn't get it done in all the surrounding areas in Northern California. Now they can't seem to get it done in Vegas. And you guys were right. I mean, we just had the entire entertainment world in Vegas. And it would have been a great opportunity for the A's to kind of, start making some inroads there and all that stuff. And you didn't hear anything about them. And you can't do this wrong. You got to get it right. And I just don't have much confidence that they're going to get it right.
How much does this hurt baseball? Obviously, this hurts Oakland fans, but how much does it hurt baseball?
I think it does hurt baseball to have one franchise that's just out there that is so mismanaged and so kind of, such a not up to standard, right? I mean, like, you go to places, around the game, and then you go to Oakland. You look at the way teams are run around the game, and then you look at the way things are in Oakland, and it's just not right. It's not big league, there's a standard for the big leagues, and this is not it. And it is 29 other teams, even Tampa Bay, with how well they do and how smartly they're run. 29 other teams are big league, and then you got Oakland. It is sad.
So, Tyler, let's get to some other teams in the sport.
And it's also, and one other thing, it's also for the game, Eric. It's keeping baseball from growing, in the sense that you can't. They've said all along, you can't expand until you figure out Tampa and Oakland, and now it seems like Tampa's going down the path, and Oakland's still spinning their wheels.
Well, so I'll double down for a sec, because what's funny to me, Tyler, is when it said we can't expand unless this gets figured out. I mean, you can. There's no rules. Like, there wasn't, some declaration made in the 1700s. Thou must not expand unless Oakland and Tampa settle their stadium situations. It's just
fair.
Them saying that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because now we just heard the other day that the league's concerned about the TV money, and that might hold back expansion as well. So then it starts to get to, all right, what's going on here behind the scenes? Because as much as we're talking about this, Nashville has deserved to have a team for the past decade at least.
Oh, yeah.
And we are missing out as a sport long term by not having a city like that embrace Major League Baseball more.
Right. Yeah, I do feel like baseball really wants to be in Nashville. Baseball players really want to be in Nashville. Everybody seems to want to be there, but Nashville still can't, figure out a stadium thing there either. And that's the whole big thing, right? I mean, that was why it was a joke when Tampa was like, "Oh, we're going to play half our games in Tampa and half in Montreal in two new stadiums." I'm like, you can't get one new stadium. How are you going to have new stadiums to split a team? That was silly. So much of this franchise relocation, as you guys know, is just posturing, and from my perspective, you try to like filter out what's real and what isn't, and put it in perspective, and that can be hard sometimes because they put on a hard sell.
All right, so yeah, now let's swing it around a little bit. Looking at some of your recent articles with The Athletic, you wrote about Bobby Witt Jr. and the Royals and extension. So can you give us a little more insight on how you saw all of that going down, and if you think there will be more of that, especially with teams in smaller markets to build around a player?
Yeah, it seems like that's the trend that we're seeing clearly. Is these teams that can buy a couple of years on the back end of free agency by doing it before the guy even comes to the big leagues. It's certainly, I saw it years ago. I remember the Yankees were in Tampa one day, and Evan Longoria had just come to the big leagues, and he signed a long-term deal, like his first week in the big league. So it's, there wasn't much time to move it up, but they've already now moved it up for minor leaguers and top prospects. With Chorio, we saw, and Keith with the Tigers. So I think it's putting that dollar figure on very, very young players. Corbin Carroll last year before his rookie season. So I think that's the new trend, and it's just a question of being in that position as a kid to take the money or try to play it out and maybe make more year to year. And they don't all work out to be team friendly. I mean, certain guys just didn't. Scott Kingery never really made it with the Phillies the way they thought he would, and John Singleton with the Astros. So there is some risk for the teams, but I think it's become a necessary thing for these teams to do. Especially in Kansas City situation, right? I mean, they're trying to get a new ballpark and they're trying to make a good faith effort. And I think it's cool what they've done. I mean, they've had $110 million for several free agents, which for them is pretty good. Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha and so on. And then to make your big commitment to Witt, even if it only is 7 years, when he can opt out for 7 years, even if it's just 7 years, you're getting the first 2 years he already got, plus 7 more years for a player whose, speed is a big part of his game. Those are probably going to be the best 9 years he has, or, the bulk of it. So you're getting the best years of a player like that's career. And I think it's terrific.
Why don't more teams do this? I know you mentioned it's kind of becoming the trend, but you still don't see a lot of teams do this. Obviously, I'm a White Sox kind of guy. They've never really done this that big. Mm-hmm. Right, they've never done a Jackson Churio, a Bobby Witt kind of deal.
Yes, they have.
With who?
Eloy.
Not for 200.
No, not those really long ones. They do
they do a shorter one. But I'm saying, like Oakland, right? When they had Chapman and they had guys like that, they had Matt Olson. Why didn't they do it? Why you see certain teams, and we had who was it? I asked the other day about what makes a general manager offer this guy but not this guy. Was it maybe David Stearns? I think
Stearns was on.
We asked him, right?
Pete Alonso.
Like, why don't teams do this? Even, like, I understand not doing it until they get to the major leagues because some guys haven't worked out, like you mentioned, Kingery and John Singleton. There was way more to that than just him signing, as you know. Yeah. But why don't teams do this? Because I know this, when I was even my second year, if teams would have come to me after, like Bobby Witt, and said, hey, we'll sign you to, numbers were way different then, 5-year, $20 million, I would have been like, shit, I can't turn that down. I'm never going to make $20 million, right? Yeah. So I think more players, and I know agents are smarter now and players are supposedly smarter now, but you have a hard time as a young player. A team comes to you and says, hey, here's 5 years, 50. Mm-hmm. Oh, man, I'm going to turn down $50 million, even if your agent's in your ear. So I think this would be beneficial for players and for teams to do this more, especially once guys have established themselves a year or two in.
Yeah, I've always felt that, like if I was in your guys' position as a player, knowing all the things that can go wrong, that you really shouldn't turn down your first fortune, right? Like once you're set and you've got a big figure, a big foundation for yourself and your family, then the next one, if you're still really great, then you can go get top dollar and break the bank. But don't turn down your first fortune. And teams are in that position to offer these guys their first fortune and see if they turn it down. I don't know why more of them don't do it, except for maybe the risk factor, I guess. But if these guys are as good as you think, then it's going to be a bargain for you. The thing that blows me away is Baltimore hasn't done any of them. And I sat with John Angelos in the dugout last year in Baltimore, and obviously he's put the team for sale now. That sale's in progress, but just to hear him talk about how, like, if we start giving $200 million to this guy and $100 million to this guy, like everybody wants, we're going to be underwater so fast. And it's just like, it was hard to understand because, like, you want to keep this thing going. Obviously you can't sign everybody, but if you're the Baltimore Orioles, you got the best core of young players right now. Like, man, just pick a couple of them, make them say no. I mean, maybe it's going on behind the scenes and nobody knows about it, but I really don't think so. I mean, Adley Rutschman should be signed there for a long time right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let alone Henderson and some of the other guys. There's no. It boggles my mind the Orioles have nobody signed up long term.
Hey, big picture, off season, Tyler. What did you like, not like? I know it's still ongoing technically. From a team perspective, you want to pick out maybe one team where, besides the Dodgers, you were like, I really like their off season, and another team on the other end.
Yeah, it's funny because there aren't a lot of teams that really jump out at me as saying, like, oh, they've had an A+ offseason. Maybe that's because the market didn't have as many big stars as it usually does. I think certain teams did sort of the minimum that they needed to do. Philly's bringing back Aaron Nola. They kind of had to do that, and they did it right away, but have been very quiet since then. That stands out. I mean, I still don't know what where the Cubs are going to pivot. I mean, their biggest hitter is still out there, in Bellinger, and they lost Stroman. Do they lose some of their momentum? Boston saying that they were going to go full throttle, and then once again, really not doing much. Just complimentary pieces here and there. Makes you wonder about their direction. So, it's the Giants, I think, have certainly been trying again. Robbie Ray, I know he's hurt right now, but that's a high upside guy, and some of the hitters they've gotten with Soler and Lee, I think his name is. So I guess I like what the Giants have done, and I really, what else I really like is what the Diamondbacks have done, because they're a team that, to their credit, in the World Series, they were one starter short. They were, and really they could have been two, but Brandon Pfaadt really stepped up. But Mike Hazen said we were one starter short, and that's on me. And he went out and he spent some money, and he got Eduardo Rodriguez. So I like Arizona doing that and kind of reinvesting in the team to try to extend what they started last year. So I like what I see from them too.
Okay, so I have to ask this: how many dogs do you have,
dude? Oh my God, I got 4.
4.
Is there an intruder that we need to know about? Because
no, they're doing the trash pickup right now, so they're going crazy. Yeah, I really need to get spring training to get away from the dogs, man. That's
okay. All right, so we mentioned you recently went to the Athletic over the winter, and you were at New York Times for a long time. And I remember seeing you in New York. We'd come in, or the Yankees would come into town. So, is this a sign that someone like you was there? I think you were over 20 years at New York Times, right?
24 years, almost 24. Yeah.
That they're kind of losing sports interest, because why would they let? And again, you don't have to get into all the details, but it seems odd to me they let someone like you that's been there and done such a great job leave for the Athletic. And if you pick up the New York Times nowadays, there's not a lot of sports coverage.
Well, dude, it's crazy. Like, I felt a little bit about how players feel sometimes when they say, like, why do I have to find out through the media, through Ken Rosenthal, that I've been traded or something like that? Because we found out from a Washington Post media writer last year started calling us around and saying, hey, I'm hearing that the Times is going to cut the entire sports department and outsource sports to the Athletic. And this is like on a Friday. I'm like, why am I hearing this from another newspaper instead of them telling us, leveling with us about what's really going on? But eventually, after a crazy weekend, we were all kind of in limbo. They told us, that they were that was true, that they were going to eliminate the sports department as a freestanding desk and utilize the Athletic for all of sports coverage. And that was really tough because the Times had a great sports tradition going back to the very beginning. But our focus at the Times sports department had changed over those last few years. And I will give the company credit because they invested $550 million to buy the Athletic. So they definitely see, as a company, the value in sports coverage. And that's why they bought the Athletic. And so when the whole thing went down, I was like, that's where I need to be. So I'm still under the umbrella of the corporate New York Times, but I'm with the sports people. And that's, I love it over there, man. I mean, the Athletic just does baseball the way I think it should be covered, in all sports, really. So it's still corporate New York Times. They put they put the Athletic stuff in print, and I think the print section now is great. But it's weird, man. It's weird. I feel for a lot of my colleagues, at the Times who stayed there and they're farmed out to other departments. They're not writing sports anymore. It's like you kept your employment, but you lost your job. It's really weird.
Yeah, and you ended up in the perfect spot.
Exactly.
Also, did you hear what he said? One of our taglines. But that's for writing. Baseball the way it should be covered.
True. But he also has to work with Rosenthal, which is a problem.
Well, we do too. As you know, Tyler, we work with
the best.
Ken. He is the best. All right, so let's finish with this, okay? I told the guys, I don't know if they're aware, obviously I know this, working with you for years. You are a trivia whiz. You have many tricks in the trick bag, whatever. I don't know. I'm out of words today. But you are one of the smartest historians in the game that I've ever been around. So we haven't done this in a while, but it used to be pretty popular. Maybe we'll bring it back during the season. But a little random Immaculate Grid. I know you play almost every day, so we're not going to do
every
today.
day. Almost.
Played.
Come on, man.
Right.
Yeah.
So we picked a random day from a while back, and we're going to cue it up.
Let's do it.
And we're going to give it a shot. So let's run the gritty. There you go. So usually we do this with players, Tyler, and it's pretty fun, and we have to help them out, and the fans help them out as well. I don't think we're going to have to help you out at all, so we're basically just going to put you on the spot, and we can just kind of get your reasoning as we talk through this. But we've got the Marlins, the Brewers, and 40-plus save seasons at the top. And on the left column, you've got the Red Sox and the Twins, little Fort Myers spring training connection there, and All-Stars. So we'll give you a sec to think about it. All right. And then we do 5 minutes on the clock. We do have a pitch clock here because also Paul Sewald's joining us in 5 minutes. So you have 5 minutes. You let me know when you feel ready to start winging through it. And 5 minutes is plenty of time. Like you should be able to get through it in a few minutes. But you let me know when you're good to go. And then we will press play and you can kind of talk through your reasoning here.
All right. Let's do it.
Okay. Let us begin. Let's hit the clock and start Immaculate Grid for Tyler Kepner.
All right, center square, I'm going to go with we have a couple catchers here, so I'm going to go with Chad Moeller for Brewers and Twins.
Ex-teammate?
Yeah, Chad and I did a story about all the pictures he's caught once. It was great.
0.07. Solid.
Brewers All-Star. Brewers had an All-Star named Danny Kolb, K-O-L-B, in 2004.
Yeah.
Dan K-O-L-B.
Dan Kolb, yeah.
Yeah.
That'll get a good percentage. Incredible. He was a reliever, right?
Yeah. He was a closer.
Yep.
He came in early in that game in 2004. The Marlins All-Stars, obviously that only goes back to 93.
Was Garrett Cooper an All-Star?
He may have been. I'm going to go with Gabby Sanchez, though.
Ooh.
Gabby with 1B.
Bottom left corner, Claude.
Marlins All-Star.
Bottom left corner, Gabby Sanchez.
This is like doing a coloring book with Bob Ross. This is awesome. This is so much fun.
I need a lot more hair for that, but yeah.
1B, Claude, for Gabby. JBY.
Gabby Sanchez. It was in 2012 or 10 or something.
0.1. Hot start.
Okay. Marlins and the Red Sox, top left corner. A guy named Chris Hammond, a good left-hander with good changeup.
I was going to go Berkey Badenhop.
Oh, that'd be going too. Yeah, he was in that Cabrera trade.
Chris Hammond.
There you go.
Chris Hammond.
.07.
Boy, there's so many Brewers, so many good Brewer Boston combos.
For you, not for me. I'm like,
I mean,
I
Jackie
could go
Bradley's the
Danny
one that pops in
Darwin.
mind.
Danny Darwin's always good. I could go Ed
Travis Shaw
Romero.
was a guy.
Travis
No,
Shaw's
that's
more
too common.
recent one.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a guy. There's a good guy. Oh, he had a really good season in the early '70s. I had him in the sim team. He was a pitcher. He was a right-hander. God, he had Ken Sanders. That's his name. Ken Sanders.
Who?
Some dude named Ken. Look him up. He had a really good year with the Brewers. Yeah, early Brewers.
That's the one.
Jeez. Look at that. Look at this.
That needs to be my new profile pic, please. Put it
It
on.
looks like you, Kratz, if you had hair.
Yeah.
Yes, BetMGM. That's my new profile pic.
That's an A on
All
Kratz hats, too.
Yes.
Miami and the Twins. Well, I only got 2 minutes left. Let's do my pal Jim Eisenreich in that one.
Mm.
That's going to be a little higher, but
EI. There you go.
yeah,
There it is. Ooh.
Oh, that one's going to
Ooh,
hurt.
2%.
2%. Yeah. All right.
Ooh.
It's amazing. We're like, oh, man, 2%.
only because it's now
All right,
all-star
40
and 40
save
save season. Anybody who had a 40 save season and was an all-star at any point, that's a lot.
Who's the closer? I always forget the closer's name from the Nats that had it. They called him Chief.
Oh, Chad Cordero.
Did he have 40 saves? Please
I'm
don't
not
let me
sure if he
ruin
had-
I ruined the grid.
I don't know if he
Don't
had
ruin
40.
his flow, Kratz. He's got a minute and a half.
All right, Twins 40 saves. Man, Reardon won a World Series there. Did he have the 40 saves for
What
them?
about Aguilera? You ever get to 40?
Yeah, I'm sure he must have. Yeah. Sometimes they do 30 saves, which is a lot easier. 40. Eddie Guardado, I'm sure did.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Nathan, obviously. All right, I'm getting down here. All right, let's say Jeff Reardon.
Okay.
Okay.
Jeff.
Rear.
R.
REA.
There you go. We need some quick hitters here. Ooh, 11. All right.
Derek Lowe, Red Sox.
All-Star
No.
40 saves, Thigpen. Let's do Bobby Thigpen.
Thiggy, my boy.
Bobby. Four.
Like that.
Okay.
And then Boston 40 saves. Man, did Lee Smith get 40 up there? Folk. Dick Raditz.
What about D'Lo?
Yeah, I think he got 40. Yeah, we'll do him. Sure.
Derek Lowe.
Derek Lowe.
At the buzzer.
Red.
3%.
21. Okay.
21. Nice.
All right.
The beginning.
Also, we were talking
to
about
that-
Vegas. We were talking about Vegas, so 21. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
That's
That
good.
is good. That is good.
That's
Also,
the best I've seen.
your first 4 or 5 picks were
Jeff
like
Reardon crushed him.
out of control.
Jeff Reardon crushed him.
Who's this dude? In the
What did Reardon
Ken
get? 11?
Sanders?
Ken
Ken
Sanders,
Sanders,
the legend.
Yeah,
was
see,
really
most of mine
fun.
are in that wheelhouse of like 80s or either the 80s or guys I covered or talked to. But yeah, Ken Sanders, he had a real good season for the Brewers in like 70 or something like that. And I don't know, he used to pitch for Boston. Weird stuff to remember, man.
Let's finish with this, Tyler. Just let everyone know, because I forgot. What's your famous trivia savantish thing that you've got? I'm not going to make you do this.
Oh yeah,
right now,
you can
but
give me
just for these guys to know.
any World Series game from 1979 to now that I can tell you with the starting pitchers, every one of them.
Stop
Wait,
it.
what? Hold on, wait. Any from 1979 till now?
Yeah,
You can tell
name
me
a game, whatever in whatever World Series, I can tell you.
Game 3, 2005.
Game 3, 2000. Oh, that was the game you hit that double to center field when Oswald was cruising, and you tied the game with that double. That was John Garland against Oswald.
Yeah, he's right.
Game
Dude,
one,
he is incredible.
1994.
None. That's a trick question.
That's good.
It would have
That's
been.
good.
It would have been like Expos. It would have been like Kenny Hill for the Expos, and I don't know, Jimmy Key for the Yankees, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Want to do one more?
By the way, Chad Cordero was 0.2% on the.
Ooh.
Oh, shit. Good.
You got one more? Give him one more.
One more? Oh,
World Series.
1993, Game 3.
Pat Hinkie against Danny Jackson. The Jays won like 10-3.
The speed is incredible.
Paul Mahler had a home run that day, right down the left field line off Danny Jackson. It was like one of the
Molly, right? Molitor hit it, didn't he?
Yep. Yeah, he just zipped it right down the left field line.
I could literally listen to Tyler just go year by year on World Series games. It's insane. I can't remember anything.
That place was a dump.
That was my childhood, man. That's Eric too, I'm sure. Yeah.
I knew that was a dump.
First big league field I ever stepped on.
Yeah. Dude, me too. And I remember, once as a Phillies camp in like 6th grade, 12 years old, I remember standing at third base, and it was 87, and that was like Andre Dawson's big year. And I remember thinking, holy, this is a lot closer than you think. Like, you're a kid, you watch on TV, you think it's farther away. You get down there on a big league field, it is really close. And I remember thinking Andre Dawson could take my head off standing, 90 feet away if I'm even with the base. For some reason, I had that vision in my mind. Big league baseball is a whole different animal when you're that close to it when you're a kid. Wow.
I thought Matt Lecrow was going to die at the vet one day. He was catching. We played a day game in like August, and it was a bazillion. He came in. They had to like put him in like an ice bath between innings. Finally, they're like, "All right, you got to go catch," because he wasn't going to make it.
Wow.
I interned there one summer. They had an old coach named Mage McDonald. He had been on the 1950 coaching staff, whatever. He was like 80, and he was like that Seinfeld skit with Mandelbaum, And he'd take all the interns and all like the front office guys out there at lunchtime at high noon in the broiling heat of the vet. And he would hit fungos, perfect fungos. He'd stand in the corner at 330 and he'd yell 371, and you'd run to the 371 sign and he'd get it just in stride, 408, and then you'd run to the 408 sign and you'd jump up on the fence and get it. I mean, it was just great memories. But yeah, dude, being on that turf at noon in the middle of July, that must have been something else, because it was just for an intern in shorts, but let alone playing a big league baseball game.
Great for cooking breakfast on the turf, but everything else, tough. Tyler, great catching up with you. Good to see you. We'll see you out maybe in spring training. AJ and me are going to hit some camps, but appreciate you and love what you're doing with the Athletic.
All right, my friends. Yeah, you guys do a great job over there. And Eric, loved your book. And AJ, you're awesome on Fox. So keep it up, guys. All right.
Thank you, Tyler.
Thanks,
appreciate
Tyler.
you. Cheers.